Carter Page, Donald Trump's former foreign policy advisor, accused his British examiners of anti-Russian bias after they took the highly unusual step of failing his verbose and vague PhD thesis, not once but twice. Page was a little-known oil consultant who lived and worked in Moscow when he joined Trump's campaign in March 2016. The then-candidate named Page as one of 5 foreign policy advisors, calling him Carter Page PhD in a meeting with the Washington Post's editorial board. In fact, Page took 3 attempts to gain his doctorate from the University of London, finally succeeding in 2011. In emails seen by The Guardian, Page compares his decade-long struggle to get a postgraduate qualification to the ordeal suffered by Mikhail Khodorkovsky, the Russian oligarch sent to a Siberian prison by Vladimir Putin. In one unhappy note to his examiners, he writes, "Your actions to date have been far more destructive than anything I have personally experienced in my 39 years on this planet." The fate of Khodorkovsky, he adds, represents the closest analogy in recent history to my trials. Page eventually quit the Trump campaign amid controversy over a July 2016 visit to Moscow, and he has been under investigation over alleged connections with Russian officials. Page first submitted his thesis on Central Asia's transition from communism to capitalism in 2008. 2 respected academics, Professor Gregory Address and Dr. Peter Duncan, were asked to read his thesis and to examine him in a face-to-face interview known as a viva. Address said he had expected it would be easy to pass Page, a student at the School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS. He said it actually took days and days to wade through Page's work. Page knew next to nothing about social science and seemed unfamiliar with basic concepts like Marxism or state capitalism, the professor said. The viva, held at University College, London, went badly. Page seemed to think that if he talked enough, people would think he was well informed. In fact, it was the reverse, Address said. He added that Page was dumbfounded when the examiners told him he had failed. Their subsequent report was withering. It said Page's thesis was characterized by considerable repetition, verbosity and vagueness of expression, failed to meet the criteria required for a PhD, and needed substantial revision. He was given 18 months to produce another draft. Page resubmitted in November 2010. Although this essay was a substantial improvement, it still didn't merit a PhD and wasn't publishable in a learned journal of international repute, Address noted. When after a 4-hour interview, the examiners informed him he had failed again, Page grew extremely agitated. He accused us of bias in our assessment of his work on the grounds that we were anti-Russian and anti-American. Actually, we are both old Moscow hands. We remain neutral and let the facts speak for themselves, Address said. Duncan said Page's accusation was unjustified. I started learning Russian more than 50 years ago, and have made more than 30 visits to Russia, from 1967 up to my most recent one this summer, he said. After this second encounter, Address and Duncan both resigned as Page's examiners.